Hello and welcome along to episode 19 of the Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever Community Cast Library. I hope everyone's had an excellent week and we're all preparing for Valentine's Day, which is in a few days' time. And yeah, I haven't decided. I've been with my wife for a long time, so we're kind of at the stage now where it's like, do you want anything for Valentine's Day? And then she'll be like, no, I'm okay, I don't want anything. And I'll probably just get like a bunch of flowers anyway. That's kind of like the state of our... Anyway, I digress. Yes, I hope you all enjoyed today's match. There's been a lot of changes this week. I've completely changed the way I'm doing these things. There were a few niggly bits that were just really doing my head in, and it didn't matter what I tried. It wasn't getting rid of things. So I've bitten the bullet. I bought a new microphone. I hope I sound super sexy because it wasn't cheap. And I've also invested in some editing software as opposed to just using the piece of free shit that I was using before. Anyway, I hope that's all very noticeable and good. Yeah, enjoy the match. And please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you like the content. And if you haven't yet considered subscribing, please do so, just to help my sanity try to grow this little speck of a YouTube channel. All right, guys, here we go. What's up, everybody, and hello and welcome along to a 5 vs 5 on the 10x10 map. Adaptive Wonder. We're going to call this team in the top left-hand section of the map Team 1, this team in the bottom right-hand section of the map Team 2. Starting off with the players for Team 1 and going a lime colour, weighing in at 1900, going Aeon. It is none other than Heaven, who's renamed himself Alice. I asked myself, who the fuck is Alice? Second up for Team 2, going orange and super sexy Cybran, weighing in at 1600. It is System Failure, going first land, as you'd perhaps expect. Thirdly, for Team 1 in yellow, going UEF, coming in at 1100, it is KofNoob, also going first land with some adjacency to a max point. Next up for Team 1, bit of a difficult name for me, this one, going blue and Space Pirate Alien Shenanigans, weighing in at 1500, it is Kulturba Ikar. We're going to call him Colt. And then lastly for Team 1, going red and Seraphim, coming in at 1600, it is ExperimentalNoob, and they are Team 1. Starting with the players for Team 2, going Old Man Grey and going UEF, coming in at 1600, it is BullydozerNoob. And then second up for Team 2, he drove a Volvo to today's replay, ladies and gentlemen, weighing in at 1400. Another Seraphim player for this replay, it is Castle Yankee. And then thirdly for Team 2, going green and UEF, coming in at 1100, it is YYY. I often ask myself the same question. Next up for Team 2, it's Holzklotz, coming in at 1700, playing in a lighter shade of red, going UEF. And then finally, the air player for Team 2, going pink, suits you sir, and Aeon, coming in at 2100, it is FreePoints. So FreePoints there, going first land, and then queuing up 3 T1 power generators and going into second air, while his engineer finishes off the 4th T1 power generator. And if we just scoot over to Heaven, Heaven's done something slightly different. He's got the 4 T1 P-gens before going into the second air, but he's also simultaneously building third land with just a single engineer, and we do actually see what was the odd unit there squeaking through a back passage of Colt's base to try and get around the back of Heaven, but Heaven just picking that off in the nick of time with a Aurora. Over on the right hand side, we got early push coming out from the probing units of Bullydozer, who's trying to take on this max point, but ExperimentalNoob bearing forward with his own units to counter, and Bulldozer withdrawing the solitary striker tank in the vicinity. And not too much action at the middle for all this reclaim just yet. We do have a engineer forward from KofNoob. He's thrown up a radar and then promptly gone into sucking up some rocks, but not venturing forward. Oh, he has ventured forward. He's gone all the way down here. I don't play this map very often. So KofNoob around the very forward crater here, and he looks like he's been here for a good while ahead of Castle Yankee, who's only just arrived at the scene to what I'm guessing is his crater and gone into his own rock reclaiming action. And there's just a T1, is that a radar? No, it's a radar. I thought it was a T1 PD for a second. So Bulldozer just starting to fill out to his front position. He already looks like he's kind of being subject to a 2 versus 1, as Colt is also choosing to stash his units over on the right hand side of the map, squaring up to the forces of Bulldozer as opposed to Castle Yankee. Or is it perhaps that Bulldozer is a little bit farther over to the left than one might expect? And we just see the ACUs of KofNoob and Castle Yankee now going into some civilized right arm exchange between their refreshing intake of rock. And there's a T1 bomber out from Holzklotz over on the left. He's just pooling it for now. But we do see actually that the formation of Bulldozer not quite as it should be. And I do believe this T1 bomber is lining some shenanigans up now. It's just edging forward, and Bulldozer's formation is perfectly aligned for this trajectory of a bomber run. And indeed it comes in, but it only takes out the solitary striker tank. But look at the damage it's done to the 3 tanks surrounding it. So it's only got 1 pass off, but it's virtually taken out 4 tanks. Okay, technically it's only taken out 1, but those strikers perhaps now with the tank of an Aurora. And Experimental has been milling around his ACU around the front lines, trying to get some rock intake of his own. And we've got another bomber coming in now from Experimental, and Bulldozer, after seeing the second one swoop in and clean out some of his HP on his lovely formation, going into a radar there. And we've now got Zooey's just edging forward from ExperimentalNoob as he takes out the advanced T1 PD laid down by Bulldozer. Bulldozer just having to reorganize his formation a little bit, and Experimental, gets up that forward max point and looking like he's being really aggressive here in the early game. Experimental, he's been streaming T1 bombers over Bulldozer, and the third one taking out the radar. And after the radar going down, Experimental moving in here. We've got FAMs going up against striker tanks, and of course the infamous Zooey's hovering around at the back, laying down some suppression artillery fire. And ExperimentalNoob now coming in, aiming for the ACU of Bulldozer. He probably sees Bulldozer on an upgrade here. Let's just jump into Experimental. Experimental will want to apply pressure here to Bulldozer to get him to cancel the upgrade, but Bulldozer asking for refusing to cancel this upgrade. And we got Zooey's now opening up on the ACU of Bulldozer, and Bulldozer needs to cancel or finish, and by the time his upgrade's finished, he's lost a good 6,000-7,000 hit points from the Zooey's. And Colt now is pushing in with his teammate Experimental, and Castle Yankee is a little bit sluggish to reinforce Bulldozer up on this early octane fueled action arena on the right hand side, and Bulldozer just leading the line with his ACU, shooing away the units of Colt and Experimental, and now Colt is bearing his own ACU toward the units of Castle Yankee. And Castle Yankee, he's still not really reinforcing the formation of Bulldozer, and Experimental is pushing forward again, and more T1 bomber shenanigans coming over from Experimental, thinning out the HP of Bulldozer's formation just a little bit again, and we've got some engineers trying to get some T1 PD up here, but Experimental is quickly moving in, and he's going to get an OC off on that, surely, to deny the first PD going up. Well, he doesn't, but some Zooies take care of it nonetheless, and Cultivaricor and Experimental now applying severe early pressure onto Bulldozer, and they're already kind of around the hinge of the left-hand flank, and Castle Yankee continues to display some curious positioning with his units. It's like he only wants to plug this gap between his base and Bulldozer's base. He doesn't actually want to assist his teammate that's currently being 2v1'd. And Bulldozer has got nothing in reply for this joint push from Team 1, and he is just backing all the way up here again, trying to get some T1 point defense down, but the Zooies just swooping around the top again, gonna quickly dispatch some PD, but Strikers backed up along the top, and they've started pushing forward again, taking out the Zooies, but they're all looking like two's just going to get around the edge, and this little T1 bomber here from Castle Yankee ends up team killing a max of Bulldozer when it was aiming for the two Zooies, so that's ever so helpful. And the T1 bombers shenanigans now continue, and this time the T1 power generation of Bulldozer is the target, and Coulter and Experimental now looking like they're refocusing some attention over to the formation of Castle Yankee before heading on over to the right again, and Bulldozer is under relentless pressure in the early stages. We haven't even checked in anywhere else, and if we go over to the left hand side, we can see Holtz going toe-to-toe with KofNoob. Holtz currently on a UEF gun and nano upgrade, and KofNoob here, he looks like he's moved in to try and reinforce system failures. A sizable mass field over there on the far left, but KofNoob here is in danger of overextending himself, and Holtz is in hot pursuit here at the ACU of KofNoob, and KofNoob is deep into the red, going into under 1,000 hit points, and System just in time coming across with his Mantis stash, and KofNoob, he's quietly requesting a new pair of pants over team chat as he slithers away with 600 HP, and Holtz now himself is into the red, although he's far more healthier at around about 3,000 hit points, but that is quickly to change if he doesn't get out of the range of this triad turret. And KofNoob, perhaps stating the obvious, Holzklotz is obviously low HP now. Well, he isn't actually, he's just vetted, that's why. And Holzklotz now with a 4-star ACU at 9,000 hit points. So healthier than he perhaps looks right now due to his upgrades and veterancy, but back over on the right, and this incessant push from Experimental and Cults continuing to rage, and Castle Yankee continuing to try and apply some counter pressure with T1 bombers. Well, it's not counter pressure, he's just trying to mop up the mess that's seeping through the non-existent lines of Team 2, and they look like they've given up trying to push around the back of Bulldozer's base. Although we do see Heaven down here with his engineers setting up a forward point defense And 3 bombers there, stream in and take out another 4 T1 power generators. And how is this affecting Bullydozer's eco? And Bullydozer, he's okay on power production right now, but he has lost 8 T1 power generators. And Coulter pushing in ever deeper with his ACU, but he's run out of units to support with his ACU, and actually he's running into the range of some T2 PD being thrown up by Castle Yankee, and Bullydozer's coming around the back, closing the back door, and Coulter is isolated here, and I think he's overextended on his push, and Castle Yankee's going to try and stream in some reinforcements, but Colt is deep into the red, and Castle Yankee is hot in pursuit. We've got some overcharges going off, and Bullydozer's teaming up now, and surely Kulturba is going to go down here. And he tries to throw up a couple of structures to halt the pursuit of Castle Yankee and Bullydozer, but Kulturba Ikar too exuberant with his ACU push and ultimately paying the price. ExperimentalNoob not so naive with the positioning of his ACU. He's back on the front line in relative safety, and Coulter completely isolated himself there. And Team 2 will pick up the scalp of the 1500. And let's just check back in here, and KofNoob is in the process of fitting some new underwear here to his ACU. We just see the upgrade going on around the crotch area. Too good. And over on the left, Holtz with a nearly fully regenerated ACU here is braving the push again with his ACU. He's got some T2 parashield supporting now, as well as the gun and nano upgrades on his ACU. His mirror system failure is still at just T2, and that is why Holtz is so keen to push here. He does not want to afford system failure time to build up a firebase of T1 and T2 PD. He needs to apply the pressure. This is where his advantage is, and KofNoob is in range with his own firebase, throwing up some triad turrets, and that is applying very welcome pressure here. And Holzklotz has managed to entertain, more than entertain, 2 players from Team 1, System and KofNoob, and only just now is Y starting to stream forward a couple of sacrificial striker tanks just to add to the massive reclaim now available on the right-hand choke point, the left-hand choke point. And KofNoob now with T2 pillars applying some T2 pressure here, but some nice OCs going off from Holzklotz. And those pillars, they tickle. So says Holzklotz. And Holtz is starting to spam his own T2, but he's going for Flapjack's T2 mobile artillery and already starting to pepper the firebase of KofNoob. Wow, and there's more action going up on the right-hand side as T1 bombers continue to swill around the air, but critically now for Experimental, he is at T2, and of course that gives him access to the infamous Ilsheva unit, and Experimental already with a couple of Ilshevas on the field now, and he's just edging forward, going toe-to-toe with some triad turrets, although he's not within range of this one down here. And Experimental also getting up some T2 mobile artillery to deal with the triad turrets being thrown up by Bullydozer, and Castle Yankee is now venturing forward with his ACU again to once again try and reinforce something on this right hand side. Bullydozer has been incessantly pressurized from the off in this game. I mean, just look at where the mass field is. In a good way, if he can hold this position, there's a lot of reclaim there, and actually there's a lot of it that's already been sucked up by Bullydozer or Castle Yankee. So it's not all bad here for Bulldozer, but he needs to get some T2 production up quickly or try and skip straight through to T3, because if Experimental gets a sizable enough contingent up of Ilshivers and T2 mobile artillery, that is going to cause some serious problems here for Bulldozer. And let's check in back over on the left. And the T2 mobile artillery flapjacks from Holtz continuing to apply pressure to the fire base of KofNoob. KofNoob trying to throw up some TMD in reply, but we all know that UEF TMD sucks balls. And we do actually see here System Failure has got some TML out, and he is targeting what exactly? Well, we do see some TMD from Holtz, but it looks like that T2 power generation was System Failure's target, but just stopping that broken up annoying TML missile that the Cybran produced before it reached its target. And Kof has got a secondary shield online here to absorb a bit more of the flapjack pressure as he continues. Well, he isn't continuing. Kof has now got a shield and a fresh pair of underwear in his ACU, and Holtz just keeps edging forward with that ACU. He's now a 5-star nano and gun upgraded UEF ACU, 21,000 hit points when he's at full health. And Kof would probably be wiser just staying under his shield, trying to do something about enable himself to sustain more of this flapjack pressure from Holtz. And actually, I'm querying the target selection of Holtz right now, because System Failure's forward position seems to be far more vulnerable to the flapjacks than KofNoob's does right now. But Holtz is a 1700, so who the fuck am I to say anything about what he decides to do? And it looks like we're finally moving towards something of a reprieve here. I should have made a warm drink for this one because my voice is already killing me a little bit. And we've actually got T3 now moving up from YYY to reinforce the unit cache of Holtz. Titans are the weapon of choice for Y. So we're gonna, well, we were going to, but we're not now, because these 5 T1 bombers are moving in from Castle Yankee, but very nicely microed were the formation of Experimental as he gets his units out of harm's way there, and those bombers not causing too many issues. And on the third pass there, taking out a few units. So Castle Yankee using some T1 bombers to some effect, taking out a radar on the fourth pass, and a factory's gone down as well, and some TMD is being targeted, but Experimental mopping that up relatively efficiently with some T1 interceptors. And although he is still largely at T1, Bulldozer, he is sprinkling some parashield and some T2 mobile flak into his unit mix. He is at T2. Bulldozer also control keying some of his redundant factories, ultra efficient on the mass recycling. And down in the left hand side now, I'm pretty sure I saw horrible, yes, we got T3 artillery, mobile artillery up from System Failure. So System also producing some loyalists and stashing them at the front of KofNoob's firebase. That will be to provide the awesome TML repellent that the loyalists have on board. Send that TML back from whence it came, kind of deal. And the air game's been relatively quiet so far, but for good reason as far as Heaven is concerned, because just look at the fucking eco that Heaven's got going here. And KofNoob does take a couple of the additional max points offered up by the vacated spot of Cult, but Heaven taking the lion's share, and already Heaven, is he at full T3 max capacity? He's got one T2 left at the back of his base and another one in his core area, but Heaven there with some seriously impressive eco for minute 21. And if we're going to pause and just take a very quick eco check. And top of the charts right now, as we alluded to there, Heaven way out in front on an income of 379 per tick. In second place, it's his air counterpart, FreePoints, on an income of 190. And then way back in third, it's Experimental with an income of 140. If we look at the power generation stakes right now, and Heaven also topping the charts there on income of 10,000, FreePoints in second place on 7.8, and obviously everybody else going land and requiring far less power as a result. And curiously, FreePoints here is in a sensors upgrade on his ACU. Okay, fair enough. And the T3 mobile artillery shells continue to rain down on the forward position of Holzklotz. And Holzklotz not able to do too much about that just yet, and we do actually see Holzklotz going into his own TML production, sneaking that down on his left extremity of his base. Let's see if he can put that to better use than what his system has managed to do with his solitary TML launcher. And Y is in a T3 upgrade with his ACU, and FreePoints has completed his sensor and gone into T2 on his ACU. So let's just try and do a quick recap on ACU upgrade. System failure is still only on his T2 upgrade. KofNoob has shield and gun. I believe I saw Heaven trudging forward earlier. I did. So Alice is in the firebase of Experimental with an upgrade of, he's got double gun and, is that double shield? Yes, double shield for Heaven. And then ExperimentalNoob is on T2 nano and gun. And then down on the Team 2 side, Castle Yankee is gun nano for his Seraphim ACU, and BullydozerNoob is gun and T2. And FreePoints is just in the latter stages of his own upgrade. I think that's the T2 upgrade. And we got Mercies here being produced by FreePoints. A little bit late in the day to be producing Mercies at minute 23. Especially, he must realize that Heaven has completely out-ecoed him thus far in this match. And in that situation, surely you would only want to be making ASF. If you have additional mass, just make more ASF, perhaps. I don't know. FreePoints is definitely much better than I am. And the ASF of FreePoints now just moving over to the left hand side, perhaps on a patrol pattern there. We've got scouts on the front line, and we've got T1 bombers streaming in from Experimental, targeting, I think, the sniper bots of Castle Yankee, but Castle Yankee protecting those sniper bots with an OP T3 mobile shield generator. And there's lots of T3 arty shenanigans for Team 1 on the left extremity of the map, with System Failure and KofNoob peppering the positions of Y and Holtz. And Holtz doesn't really look like he's come up with a effective counter to this ploy from System just yet. And we actually see on the far left extremity of the map that Holtz has been putting his TML to much greater use and taking out the T2 or T3 maxes there of System Failure. And of course, we did see the earlier notification of Heaven finishing a GC, and that is trudging towards mid. So Heaven starting to flex his severely large eco stick. Let's just take a quick peep at the air game right now. So 4 air system, Heaven on 70 ASF. And if we take a look at FreePoints, 55 for FreePoints. So a sizable gap starting to open up between the 2 air players. And those Mercies got spent somewhere. They were obviously completely useless wherever they went. And actually, I think it was at System. System looks like he's sustained some damage around of his base. So that may have been a Mercy attempt on System failure, which did not succeed. But what is succeeding now is the counter from Holtz, and Holtz is fighting fire with fire. He's got some demolishes up, and he's completely, well, demolished the forward position of System failure. And there's a move pin going down on the unit stash of System now. System's got some bricks and loyalists in the mix. And we've got some TML also in the base of Y now. And there's just a few forward ravages here for Kof. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be decent targets soon. And Holtz feeling safe enough to go into the construction of a relatively forward anti-nuke here. Always very sensible to do in the ravages there, laying down some fire on the demolishes of Y, which has just ventured a little bit too far forward. And now the demolishes of Holtz thinning out the, well, obliterating the T1 unit stash of System, and he loses a loyalist in that as well. And now System is just repositioning things ever so slightly to get them out of harm's way. And Holtz has quickly managed to turn this around against his 2 opponents here. Very nicely done, flipping this situation on its head. It was Kof and System making gains with T3 mobile artillery, but Holtz just doing the same thing but a little bit better, and has completely pushed back and destroyed the forward areas of his aforementioned opponents. And in the center, Heaven building his own TML base. We've got all these wall sections that have been thrown up here. And actually, the gap that was left by Kulturberikar, which feels like a million years ago now, there's been no pressure applied down that route, and Heaven has been allowed to seamlessly plug the gap, and the eco now from Heaven is real. He's now up to a mass income of 575 per tick. He is actually double. Oh no, it was the wrong person. He's not double. He's double one of his teammates. But FreePoints is way behind on 337, which is still a sizable income, let's be honest, but it's nothing compared to what Heaven has got going right now. And I'm just looking at Heaven's base just to see what other shenanigans are on the way. And I do think that is a queue there with 2 nuke launchers in it, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. And Heaven perhaps predictably also going into the construction of restorers. Why wouldn't you? And we do have an experimental completed by Castle Yankee now, who is going second gun on his Seraphim ACU. That's going to take forever and a day to complete, as he's got engineers working on a second chicken. And Holtz has got his own GC up here and he's pushed it over onto the left hand side, and Y is suiciding a lesser unit count of Titans into a superior unit count of Loyalists. That's never going to end up well. But actually, Heaven there was quick off the mark with the Restorers, and upon seeing the Restorers, Holtz has elected to withdraw his, withdraw his GC as he turns it forward again. And we've got a fatty now rolling forward from KofNoob, and there's immediately an attack ping going out on it, and Holtz is telling his team in team chat, there is a fatty. Perhaps someone else would like to help me with my two opponents on the left hand flank. And to be honest, Y has done very little in this game thus far. Why? And back on the right hand side, and we've got this chicken that's venturing forward from Castle Yankee. It's completely unsupported, and I'm assuming he didn't see the GC sat there from Heaven. And ExperimentalNoob just shooing away the chicken there. And Heaven's going to withdraw the GC for now. And we actually have 3 experimentals stashed up on the right hand flank here for Team 1. 2 GCs from Heaven and a chicken from ExperimentalNoob, and actually ExperimentalNoob's got 3 more chickens queued up at the back of his base, along with some T3 power generation. And it looks like we've got a major push brewing here from Team 1. The chicken from Experimental is starting to trudge forward. Bullydozer is in the latter stages of his own fat boy here, and he needs to get that online ASAP. Castle Yankee also very close to completing his second chicken, as the first chicken coming forward from ExperimentalNoob starts to lay down fire on the forward units here. It's in support of, with 2 GCs bringing up the rear from Heaven, and a stream of Offhams and T1 Thams. Heaven electing to bring up the rear with T2 and T3 anti-air, and the fat boy completes from Bullydozer, and now carnage ensues on the right hand side. We've got the 2 chickens taking out the initial chicken sent forward by Experimental, but the GCs are going straight over to the base of Bullydozer, and Bullydozer perhaps needs to be thinking about running away as opposed to building triad turrets. And the chickens are doing all they can to wear out the GCs, but the GCs are on the ACU of Bullydozer, and Bullydozer's shield has gone, and Bullydozer's ACU is going with it. And there goes Bullydozer to the GCs of Heaven. Not even an OC coming out from Bullydozer there to try and take out one of the GCs. And actually, in his defense, Bullydozer is just saying in team chat, why does my auto OC always glitch? But the 2 chickens there managing to take out the push from Team 1, and now the chickens of Castle Yankee looking to counter, but we've got a massive stash of Restorers now from Heaven, and they are just dancing along the front lines waiting for those chickens to appear they have, and the first one, which was already low, is going to go down almost instantly. And we've got an air fight brewing now, and that's a terrible turn by FreePoints, and Heaven is like a whipping up a drain pipe with his ASF. He's instantly behind the ASF of FreePoints, and Heaven did not need a second invitation there, and his micro is sensational. 2 fantastic turns in from Heaven, and the ASF of FreePoints, well, being given away very cheaply. I'm sure there's a pun in there somewhere. And air superiority completely going to Heaven. He didn't need any more help. He already had a superior ASF count, but Heaven's micro there was fantastic. As much as FreePoints' micro was absolutely terrible. That first turn away from FreePoints, showing the rear of his ASF formation to Heaven, cost him dearly. And actually now, the Restorers have got free reign and now opening up on the ACU of Castle Yankee. Castle Yankee bringing across some T3 mobile shields here, and he is frantically throwing up some T2 flak. Very quick to adapt to this situation, Castle Yankee. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough, because that is a lot of Restorers. But they're going down remarkably quickly to the T2 flak of Castle Yankee. And I actually think here that Castle Yankee, in a combination of OP Seraphim T3 shields and OP T2 flak versus gunships, Castle Yankee there, he says, "What's the big fuss? I was never in any danger." It certainly didn't fucking look like that. I was convinced in the first 5 seconds of that assault that Castle Yankee was a goner. And we go into another lull here, and Team 1 not settling for the execution of Bulldozer. They're trying to get the reclaim, trying to expand into the Team 2 half of the map. Castle Yankee here just moving across a chicken to take out some flanking offhams. And the T3 mobile artillery shenanigans continue over on the left-hand side. All the action so far really has been on the right-hand side. It's kind of been it's been a boxing match on the left-hand side. Two jabbers, two counter-punches in System Failure and Holtz. I think Holtz has really been hampered in his aggression levels, because he has effectively been 2 versus 1 for most of this replay. Y has offered very little in the form of support to his team compatriot. And we got a second Fat Boy in the early stages of construction here from KofNoob. And there's an experimental unit that's gone up from Holtz. And it's a Fat Boy, so Holtz now with a GC and a Fat Boy. And actually we did see 2 nuke launchers queued up earlier by Heaven, and he has finished the construction on those nuke launchers. So 1 nuke not good enough for Heaven. Heaven going forward 2. They're not being assisted on their loading procedure, but one of them is already slithering over the halfway mark. And we've got another push here on the right hand side. It's another chicken and GC squaring up to the solitary chicken of Castle Yankee, and Castle Yankee is really far forward with his ACU here. Well, actually he's not really far forward, he's hanging out in his base, but his base now constitutes the front line of this replay. And the chicken is surely going down here, and Castle Yankee is being fired upon by the GC, and some OCs going out from Castle Yankee, and he's just surviving as he gets under the T3 shield, and a veterancy going out on Castle Yankee's ACU as he gets the killing OC off on the GC. Castle Yankee, he's in the Alamo, but he's taking it like a fucking man. And he's just withdrawing a little bit here as he's allowing the HP of the attacking chicken to be taken out by the Aeon storm. And we hear a nuke notification going off somewhere else in the map. But Castle Yankee here, it's a brave last stand, but I'm sure it is his last stand. He's under 1,000 hit points, and we got strats coming in from Heaven, and they're going to seal the deal. But where's the nuke going? The nuke's gone out from FreePoints, and it's heading over to the base of System Failure. And System Failure is scooted away with his ACU, so System with no anti-air is going to lose his entire base. just as System was making gains against Holtz, the GC has been killed by presumably the incessant T3 and fatty artillery fire, and Holtz's second experimental in the form of this fat boy almost losing its shields, but Kof now already looking like he's well dug in and prepared to defend any push from Holtz into the vacated left side. System, of course, isn't dead, but he's going to be out of the game for a little bit, and we've got shields being thrown up at the forward area of KofNoob, and KofNoob here, it's very secure, solid play from KofNoob. He's getting some T2 shields up around the fat boy to protect it, and the fat boy of Holtz is pretty much out of shield, and surely those nukes must be close to loading for Heaven. They are. Let's take a look at the anti-situation in Team 2. Well, we did see Holtz building his nice and early, so he's got 2 loaded. Although any kind of reasonable push from Team 1, and they will be able to get that anti-nuke of Holtz. And there is also an anti up here from FreePoints protecting his base and the base of his team compatriot of YYY, and we've got T1 bombers streaming in from ExperimentalNoob here, surely targeting the vulnerable fat boy of Holtz, but they will not live long enough to deliver their payloads. Neither will the ones being sent forward by system failure, and we've got 2 fat boys up from KofNoob now, and a very well dug in forward firebase with T3 shield now offering additional protection to the fat boys as they just sit within range of everything on the peripheral edge of Holtz's base. And there's an attack ping going out here on the anti-nuke of Holtz. Someone on Team 1, presumably Heaven, wants Kof to push those fat boys in and take out the anti-nuke. And we got engineers forward from ExperimentalNoob as he tries to feast on the banquet of T4 Rex available for your convenience in this location. And in the distance we see another chicken roaming forward from ExperimentalNoob, and it's going for the forward base of YYY. My voice is killing me now. This one has been frantic from the off, and YYY, well, why isn't he running away? He's running straight towards the chicken here, and it's not like it's a low health chicken. And YYY, he's trying to get some OC over on the chicken, and now he's maneuvering his ACU around the back of the chicken as he gets stepped on by it. And I don't think Experimental has seen the ACU of Y here as he's focusing on T3 power production, and now he's seen the ACU. The right hand arm of the chicken extends and the chicken turns, and it's now seen the ACU of Y, and he goes down really bizarrely here. And Experimental just in time, paying attention where his attention was required to take out YYY. And we got strats coming in now from Heaven, and surely that anti-nuke of FreePoints is the target, but the shields are not breached. The anti-nuke survives, but for how much longer, as the squadron of restorers now reigns over the peripheral expansion edge of FreePoints, and FreePoints is withdrawing a GC here. Team 1 with complete air superiority here, using it to good effect, and the restorers now hovering over the anti-base thrown up by FreePoints, and surely the anti-nuke is going to go down here. There goes the anti-nuke of FreePoints to the restorers of Heaven. The fat boys over on the left have completely eradicated the shields of Holtz's base, and his anti-nuke looking really vulnerable now, and there we see the Fat Boys turning their attention. So the anti-nukes on Team 2 are completely destroyed, although actually no, there is another one at the back of FreePoints' base. It is loaded. Oh no, what am I talking about? That's his nuke launcher, not his anti-nuke. And and Holtz there edging forward in his ACU and going down to Percival's and Fatboy fire, but FreePoints here is elected to nuke himself, saving Heaven the job of clicking. And that brings a conclusion to the match. Frantically paced, it desyncs right at the end, but it's already over. What a fast, octane, enthralling match that was. Well played, everyone. I think that one was pretty good. I think the only person that can look at their performance was YYY. Actually, Coulter Marikar with his overextension of his ACU, also quite questionable, but really that opened the door because Heaven filled out the gap, and we all know what Heaven did thereafter with his eco. Absolutely annihilated everyone. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stuff. So Heaven getting 2 kills, KofNoob getting the solitary kill of Holzklotz at the end. Castle Yankee, I think, got the kill of Coulter in the early stages, and ExperimentalNoob. Who did Experimental kill? I can't remember. It wasn't Bully because Heaven got Bully, I think. Let's go ahead and take a look at the categories. Unsurprisingly here, Heaven sweeping 3 out of 4 categories: mass income, power income, and stuff built. Most kills going to, which actually is a little bit surprising, most kills going to FreePoints. Really surprising, actually. 376 air kills for FreePoints. Conversely, Heaven getting 340. I think that's largely down to the persistent use of T1 bombers from Team 1 throughout the match. FreePoints was obviously mopping up some cheap kills there. Man of the match, very straightforward this one. Heaven was absolutely sensational for Team 1. The eco, the strategy when it was required, flawless display. Easily man of the match. Very well played, Team 1. Enjoyable match. If you enjoy the content, guys, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. It gives the channel a massive boost and lets me know that I'm doing a good job. Right, guys, take care. I will catch you in the next one.